I created the largest content company in the world, supplying hundreds and hundreds of e-tailers, like even Amazon, with this content.
You know, there's a term I heard the other day. It came from Peter Thiel, and it was the term generational compact.
There was an internet bubble burst. Internet stocks crashed. I was in that space, several startups, realizing, okay, I needed to figure out my next step. And the logical next step for me was services and providing B2B services, not software. We've become truly global as a result in terms of operations. And of course, we sell mostly to the US and some in Canada and Europe and Australia. But I never dreamt 25 years ago that we'd be in this position. One vendor, one partner. Again, you know, everything from marketing, finance, customer service, software development, engineering, logistics. I mean, you name it. My whole goal was to create a multi-generational family business.
Welcome to Disruptive Successor, a show for next generation leaders in family businesses and entrepreneurs who want to disrupt the status quo and take their existing business to a whole new level. We all know that what got us here isn't going to get us there. This show will provide inspiration, advice, and resources to help you create massive impact. This podcast is sponsored by myself, Jonathan Goldhill, and my company, the Goldhill Group, where we provide coaching for growing companies. I'm Jonathan Goldhill, and my purpose is simple: to guide entrepreneurial leaders in family businesses towards more freedom and fulfillment. I want entrepreneurs to get clarity around the changes that will make them and their businesses more successful so they can experience the same freedom I've enjoyed in my life. Our proven practices challenge business owners to think differently about their business and how they're running it, and quite literally become game changers in our clients' companies. Learn more at thegoldhillgroup.com website, where you can schedule your free strategy session. Welcome back to the Disruptive Successor Show, where we talk with founders and next generation leaders, transforming their family businesses into forces for innovation and impact. Today, I'm joined by Pranav Dalal, the founder and CEO of Office Beacon, a global business with over 5,500 employees providing outsourced services to help companies scale efficiently. Pranav runs Office Beacon alongside of his family, a rare example of a large global organization that still keeps family values and oversight at its core. His two eldest children have already joined the business, learning the ropes in sales and operations. In today's episode, we'll explore how Pranav balances growth and governance, speed and stewardship, and how he's preparing the next generation for leadership in a truly global enterprise. Pranav, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And what I was going to say is, take us back to the early days of Office Beacon. You've been around for 25 years now. What inspired you to start the business? What was your vision at the time?
Well, I'm going to take you back to 2000. And at that time, there was an internet bubble burst, right? So the first internet wave, internet stocks crashed. I was in that space, with several startups, realizing, okay, I needed to figure out my next step. And the logical next step for me was services and providing B2B services, not software, because it wasn't the time for that. And I didn't feel it was the right time, especially since I was my first child was about to be born, and, I had a lot of obligations. So that's what sort of was the impetus. But then I came across research done by Deloitte that basically talked about outsourcing and the emerging industry, specifically in India, which is where our first location was. And it resonated with me. I took a flight to India, and it was more of a gut instinct, but I knew that's what I was going to do. And it was really a quick decision, and it's been a great ride ever since then.
And so when did the business go global?
Well, as I said, so India was the first location, and we grew quite rapidly there. About 10 years after that, I had an opportunity with a subsidiary of Vistaprint that was interested. They were a client, and they were interested in talking to me about taking over their Philippines operation. So this is about 2012, 2011, 2012. And I immediately, again, jumped on that. I'd never been to the Philippines. I flew there, saw the operations, just saw the country and dealt, interacted with people. And I immediately fell in love with the Philippines. And I said, yeah, I'll take this on. So they gave me their operations. I took over their employees, and we started growing our customer base in the Philippines. So it was really one door opening that was an incredible opportunity. Several years after that, our clients were telling us that we needed more diversified services. So Mexico also came on board about 5 years after that, where we wanted bilingual services. So that's been fantastic. And then about three years ago, we ventured into South Africa, which has just been a boom and has provided us with incredible opportunities that we are affording to our employees who are growing in numbers there, as well as our clients, our existing and new clients. So we've become truly global as a result, just in terms of operations. And of course, we sell mostly to the US and some in Canada and Europe and Australia. But I never dreamt 25 years ago that we'd be in this position.
Well, congratulations on your success. And my question was going to be, but you answered it, is where those are where your operations are being serviced from, but your customers are mostly US based and European based. And I am pretty clear about outsourced services. I've been using them since I started my coaching business in 2004. But tell us, what types of support services are you providing? Are these virtual assistant services? Are these back office bookkeeping, social media engagement?
Yeah.
Tell us about.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. So the way I visualized and I conceptualized what we wanted to do was basically taking any company apart and looking at all the departments and being able to service any of those departments. So it could be customer service, logistics, shipping and logistics, marketing, finance, executive C-suite. So we offer over 150 different services across a broad spectrum of disciplines and in over 17 verticals. So that's been our mindset, to be specialists in every single one of those. So our customers realize that we're just more than a one-stop shop. We actually know in every discipline what we're doing. And our customers are actually, it's much easier for them to deal with one company that can really help them with everything, one vendor, one partner. So again, everything from marketing, finance, customer service, software development, engineering, logistics. I mean, you name it. It's quite a broad spectrum of services that we can offer any client.
That's outstanding and very impressive. And before we get into talking about your family and their roles and what they play in the business, take us back to before 2000. Were you involved in other entrepreneurial businesses? Has this always been in your blood, being an entrepreneur, or was this the first go after a corporate life? Well, tell us a little bit.
I definitely had a corporate life, and that was a very interesting, let's call it illumination for me. I come from a family where my father worked for the Canadian government. I'm originally from Toronto. He worked for the Canadian government for his entire career. So I was not exposed to entrepreneurship as a kid growing up in Canada. And so, but somehow it found me. So in Canada, first graduating out of university, my first role was to work for a startup cell phone company called Rogers Cantel. And my job was to work for the president and find opportunities for the company to excel in service and provide a better product to its customers. One of the opportunities that I discovered, I worked with all these departments and I had a little bit of an engineering background. I worked with the engineers and then went to marketing and said, hey, I figured out that at the time, cell phones were not like these iPhones today. They're these big clunky, cell phones. This is in the early 1990s. And I figured out that the towers could call the cell phone. That was the genesis of mobile messaging, where we ended up charging 25 cents a minute for every voicemail that was retrieved, generating a lot of money for the cell phone company. And I was hooked on then discovering products and opportunities for companies to make money. From there, I went to Fidelity Investments. They recruited me, and I worked with their service and sales team to really ramp up, how we were bringing a brand new product, which was mutual funds, and what Fidelity offered to the Canadian marketplace.
Okay.
And then from there, I moved here to LA and got started with several startup internet companies in around 1997. One of them was an Amazon competitor, and that was a really interesting one because, of course, Amazon won that race, but I was in charge of that startup to develop the content. So back then, it was just movies, books, video games, and music. Those were the four categories of sales and product categories. And so every product needed a description, cover art, pictures, or a description of what it was. But there was no company that you could just go and say, hey, give me this content. So that gave me the idea to start that company. I created the largest content company in the world, supplying hundreds and hundreds of e-tailers, like even Amazon, with this content. And every time they sold a product using the content, which we could track, I basically got a percentage of sale. So, and then eventually I got bought out. And so then I started Office Beacon. So in a way, yes, entrepreneurship found me. It was a long process, but I'm glad it did eventually. I did realize that that's who I was meant to be.
Well, it sounds like a great ride. We may have crossed paths in the late 90s because we used to run events for digital media companies, folks that were making their way into the Web 1.0 and digital online with a company called Venice Interactive Community, the VIC.
Okay.
So, all right, let's fast forward. So your family got involved. You have two of your oldest children involved. How did they come to wanting to join the business? Was that always part of the plan? Did it evolve naturally? Tell us a little bit about that.
That's a really important part of my legacy and journey. Yeah, when I started the company, my whole goal was to create a multi-generational family business, and that was before I had kids. And so when the kids started being around me every day, and a lot of those times I'd be working from home, never really had an actual building or office to go into. They'd see me working, they understand what it was like. And then as they grew older, especially when we started doing events out of like SoFi Stadium and other cool places, they really took interest. And my son joined about 2 years ago. He's currently finishing up his MBA at LMU, but he joined on our sales team, and it was kind of given. Like, he didn't question it. I didn't ask him. He just wanted to take part, and it's that legacy part that my kids really resonate with. They were very proud of, and they want to be involved. And so I'm very fortunate that the way I've conducted myself, the way I've raised them as a single parent, it's been an incredible journey. My daughter, Ria, she's my middle daughter, very creative. Early on, wasn't really too sure, but she's really taken on to it, joined our marketing team in social media. And by the way, she's also at LMU. So very proud of them. And my youngest, I think Alyssa, she's in high school, grade 11, but I have no doubt in my mind that she's going to be joining us in a few years as well.
So, there's a term I heard the other day. It came from Peter Thiel, and it was the term generational compact. And that sounds like something you've put in place where it's been communicated that you're building this for the next generation and for a multi-generational family to be involved. And so few entrepreneurs today have that mindset. Where do you think that came from? Do you think that, I mean, your dad was in the government.
Yeah.
That certainly, it
Yeah.
didn't seem like it came from him, but the
Yeah.
values that you're instilling in your family, and you're raising your children with these values. What is it about you and about these values that make them so important to you?
Well, I think, yeah, and I love that question because I've thought about that. So definitely when I started the company, I had that mindset. It wasn't like overwhelming. I just felt that that was important to be able to have something that they would get involved with. But there were a couple of things that happened. So 10 years ago, I enrolled into Harvard Business School. They have a great 3-year program for owners and presidents, and a terrific program. And when I went there, I met a lot of global leaders, and I was really struck by some of them who are from countries where their businesses, their family businesses, go back, and I kid you not, hundreds of years. And I realized that it was a very doable thing, like, and a reality that there are these family legacies out there in business that people don't hear about, but it's a very powerful and important, legacy to have. And so that's when it sort of crystallized for me 10 years ago that I'm on the right path. Another factor is in India, where my ancestry is from. I didn't grow up there. We have a very long legacy, the Dalals, in business. And so when I went back there and started discovering our legacy, I was realizing that, I had that DNA. I just didn't know it. In fact, even the Wall Street of India is called Dalal Street. So we've got a long, in fact, in India, it's actually a Persian name, but it means business broker, the name itself. So
Wow.
it's there for thousands of years. And so I know somehow I picked up that gene, fortunately. So it's been there in many different ways, and it all sort of crystallized and came together, and I guess it was meant to be.
Unbelievable. What a great story. Very touching. And of course, you know that in India, maybe 98% of all businesses are family owned and controlled.
Yeah.
And it's because that's the basic economic unit, and you have to take care of your family. So I love how you reconnected with these almost ancestral values as if they were in your DNA, and you found it. And you were raised in Toronto, so far away from the continent where these came from. So great story.
Thank you.
So you've built this company, thousands of employees, multiple countries, and you've got now some new family members that are now new into the business. I don't imagine you directly supervise them, which probably is a smart thing. You're shaking your head no. Let's talk about what systems or rituals or even meetings help you stay connected to the global team.
Yeah. We follow a very disciplined process. We actually use a system called EOS, the Entrepreneur Operating System.
We talk about that a lot on my show.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Coach many clients and use it in my businesses today, but actually I came as a scaling up certified coach, which you might be familiar with. It was where Gino Wickman from EOS developed, because he was one of the first what was called Rockefeller Habits or Gazelle's coaches. So it's a very robust system. But go ahead, you follow me.
I think that is one of the things that's really helped us stay organized, especially since we are truly virtual. I mean, we have offices in every country, but myself, I don't see employees for a good part of the year, except like this, on a Zoom call. So that type of operating system centralizes how we manage things. We also have a lot of our own platforms that help manage our dashboards and the work we do, our communication tools. And so that all of that together has really helped us scale. And we have just found the pattern of scaling, whether it's in one industry or another. It doesn't really matter. We're big on systems and communication, and then overlaying that is this EOS system that's really helping us manage our goals and tasks and issues, and really helping us overcome our blockers, the things that are stopping us from progressing. So all of that is very disciplined. We have discipline calls like every week, very structured and impactful.
Amazing. And out of curiosity, how many levels deep do you go with EOS in terms of cascading meetings, cascading the organizational chart? I imagine it could be a very large organizational chart.
Yeah. I think right at this level, we're now at 5, but
five levels deep.
Yeah, but that's not capturing all the actual ground level teams, right? I mean, that's just too big. We're getting to the team leader base level, and so there's hundreds of people on our implementation of the OS, and but it's proving impactful in terms of the way we're organizing ourselves, so that it's the same whether it's one team or another. We're doing it the same way.
Right, very clear.
Yeah.
Obviously, as part of the EOS process, very early on, you go through your core values and identify what those are, and then a year or two into it, you reevaluate: are these the real core values? Are we living these core values? How do you ensure that those core values stay visible and alive at every level of the business?
One of the things I do is every quarter is I have a town hall with every country location, and every employee joins that town hall. We talk about that, and I talk about values up front and how different initiatives we are undertaking support our values. I talk about values a lot in terms of transparency and communication, especially. We have a fireside chat in those town halls. Any employee can ask any question. In fact, in December, in a few weeks, I'll be traveling to every location and doing these town hall meetings live, with sessions with all of our employees. So I think that really provides a lot of comfort and trust with our employees, that we say what we mean and we say what we do. So that's one of the biggest ways. We also have our own newsletter called OB-Zine. It's like a magazine, electronic, that's sent out every quarter as well to every employee. We do employee surveys. I mean, we do a lot of employee engagement to really reinforce and get the feedback on how we're doing as a company and organization, management team, to support our employees everywhere.
That's amazing. Quick question: what's the software operating system you're using to run EOS on?
We use 90. We use 90.io. Yeah.
Yep. So there's a new one that was just introduced to the other day that also includes an employee engagement piece, which generally has been missing out of all the different systems like 90 and Bloom Growth. Okay. So it may be early, but maybe you've already given some thought to your family's values. And if you have, and they overlay with the company's values, can you talk about the symmetry between those, or where you're at with it?
Sure. I think the family values that I've instilled, I mean, we don't talk about specific values as a family, but I think it's just the way we go about conducting ourselves, which is being humble, being having gratitude, being helpful, putting others first, hardworking, learning. All of those mindsets somehow have translated to my children. And I see it every day, the way they conduct themselves, the way they participate, take ownership of things. But they're humble. They're not kids that are coming in because of nepotism or, because of their last name. I mean, they start at the bottom rung. They have managers, they're learning, they take instruction well, and they're very, very humble. So, and I think those types of mindset I think translates hopefully over to the company. It starts with me. And I think I know that my employees and my coworkers see that from me every single day. I'm very respectful. If they ask me a question, I'm usually responsive very, very quickly. I don't ignore things. I try to solve help them solve problems. And that also translated into something else that was very interesting, which is they feel a sense of ownership, even though I'm the owner of the company. There are many owners in terms of just seeing the success of the company, and their mindset of being accountable is incredible. Like I just see it every single day, how people I work with are feeling that sense of pride and ownership in the company, and as though it is theirs, like as an owner. So those types of values, I think, really cross over from family to business very well.
Pranav, they really do. Those are great set of either family values or company values, and they could easily serve as both. So let's take a little bit of a turn here. You've developed partnerships. I gather these are fairly recent with the NFL and the SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Very exciting. How do these relationships reflect your company's brand and values?
Well, yes, let's talk about SoFi Stadium. So I love football. I love sports. I'm a big fan. I mean, I get very energized, and there are two NFL teams in LA, Los Angeles, where I live. And coming out of COVID, they built a brand new stadium here, SoFi Stadium. Incredible facility. I went there to just get seasons tickets. Interestingly, in 2021. Came out of there with an agreement, a very long-term 20-year agreement with them, which provides us with, of course, the basic of a suite, which is incredible on the 50-yard line. So every concert, every football game, everything, we host clients and prospects there. But as well, part of our partnership, our agreement is that we can use a stadium every single day of the week. So we use it in very innovative ways. It's a very unique agreement. Very few companies do this. We hold educational seminars. We hold networking events there midweek, any random day of the week. We're hosting 30 to 40 businesses in SoFi Stadium, not necessarily in my suite, but in any part of the suite which is conducive to those types of events, which has been terrific. Last year alone, I think I hosted over 3,000 business executives, and many of them from Southern California, but a lot of them coming from out of state too. So that was actually led into so many opportunities, not only at SoFi, but we then struck a similar partnership agreement, or a basic agreement, with Intuit Dome, which is right next door to SoFi. It was built by Steve Ballmer of former Microsoft days, and it's built for the LA Clippers. But the same thing, we have access every day of the week. We can hold our meetings as well as conferences there and sessions, and it's a new way of an innovative way to really create that buzz and that sense of meeting in person. Now, the NFL, specifically NFL Alumni Association, are a lot of former players coming out of the NFL. We met them through our association with SoFi Stadium and built this relationship with them, and an exclusive one, in fact, where we're the only remote staffing company partnered with them. So we work with a lot of their former players to get involved with us as ambassadors and promote us to their networks. And then by way through that, they're earning revenue from us, which actually helps them in their transition from the NFL into the business world. We're also supporting quite a few of them with their own businesses. My good friend, Sean Merriman, who's a legend of the LA Chargers when he was in San Diego. I just saw him yesterday at the Chargers game, and he has an insurance company, and we support him by providing insurance back office support to his fast growing insurance agency. He also has an MMA sort of division where we also help him, and he promotes us there too. So we've got great relationships in the sports world, and I see a lot of synergies between sports and business, And I love the energy of it.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
I know I got a chance to tour SoFi in a private tour a couple of years ago with, I wouldn't say they're a competitor. I'd say that they are a collaborator, maybe. Insperity is the company.
Oh yeah, yeah. We actually no, Insperity. We actually had a co-hosted event with them just 2 weeks ago,
Uh,
and
yeah.
so yeah,
And it's such an uplifting environment, the stadium, the actual construction and architecture of the four buildings, how they sit on layered on top of one another. Um, and it was a great experience for me also to get on the field in a sports jacket at the time and catch some footballs from a guy who had a really good arm.
right.
So,
I mean, it's a great experience.
oh, it's just a great place. All right. So I think it's kind of early to think about your eldest children and where, what the trajectory for them looks like in the business. Um, Obviously, there's a great benefit, right, in bringing them in early. And what what challenges uh, are there if you can feel comfortable sharing them? Like, what's been maybe one of the biggest challenges bringing them in?
Well, let me tell you, the first one was I had both my older children in the same department in sales. That did not go well because one was telling the other what to do, and usually it's the older one. And then I realized I better split them up. And I think the Ria, who's my middle child, is better suited for marketing. She's just got that mind, and so I moved her over there, and she's really been flourishing there. So that's the one thing. First thing is don't have them doing the same thing. Secondly, I I really want them to explore their skill sets and their interests. They don't have to be in one department. The more they can learn, the better. And they're going to naturally gravitate towards their interests and their skill set. They may not be CEO. They may be more passionate about some part of the company other than leading the company. I think I think matching skill set to the role is very, very important. So in the future, I'll create this family constitution with a family business advisor that'll help us, uh, avoid conflict and discord as we get more involved as in this family business. And I also think another important aspect is I've been the driver and visionary of the company, and I've got that. That's sort of my superpower is identifying competitive advantage. And so I don't. It doesn't. We have to figure out who could be the next person. I think about companies like Apple. Steve Jobs was an incredible disruptor. Have they really found someone else to replace him, or Jonathan Ivey, who he worked with to design these products? I don't know, right? And so that's a very important aspect of the legacy is how do we keep evolving and how do we and who's in charge of that? Like who's really the driver, I guess, of that. That's yet to be determined. But for right now, for the foreseeable future, hopefully several decades, I'll continue to be doing that at least.
And in true spirit of following the EOS model, you being the visionary, do you have an integrator in place? How long?
Yes, yes.
And how long have you had one in place?
Well, so we started EOS earlier this year, uh,
Okay.
so it hasn't been years. But yes, my CFO actually is an incredible project. Let's just call him like first of all, his mind is great. He remembers every detail, and then he's very task focused, project focused. So he was actually selected. He wanted to do it, and then everyone agreed that he would really be the best person for it. So I've been supporting him. We've hired someone to replace him in his finance role, but yeah, he's learning. He's growing with it. I'm still supporting him because I guess that was my pseudo role for a long time. Uh, but yeah, it's evolving, and I think it's getting better day by day.
Good for you. Let's get back to your kids. Do they ever tell you that they see the business differently than you do? If so, like how? Like, Dad, I think we should be doing this, or Dad, I think this is the direction, or
Interestingly, yeah, interestingly, no, not yet. I think they they are following the sort of pecking order of like their role and who they report to, and they have not been that vocal yet. I think my son, his name's Ajay. I think he's starting to. Um, he's still absorbing a lot. He's still learning a lot, and on occasion he'll tell me the odd thing, but it isn't like very often yet.
Okay.
So yeah, we're not.
Are there lessons or mistakes that you hope that they learn through experience rather than from you telling them?
Yes, definitely. Well, and I have told them, first of all, I have this saying called trust but verify. So I've trusted people, and unfortunately, on occasion, I haven't verified, and things are not like as I expect, or
Right.
things happen that could be a lot worse in terms of its consequence. So I think that's one of the things. Just don't, I'm a very trusting person, and I think that's the one thing is you can trust, but please verify every detail. uh,
So I've said that many times myself, and my client said that the origin of that was Ronald Reagan, but
oh.
I've never verified it actually.
Not
I've trusted it.
like it could be right. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that's good. Um, well, clearly there are things that you're probably going to be thinking about early on if you want to pass the business on to them, but we are maybe decades away from that. But it sounds like you'll be an early adopter with figuring those things out. And so, on that note, shameless plug here, I'll send you a copy of my new ebook, The Family Business Trap: The 11 Uncomfortable Truths That Will Save Your Business and Your Relationships. And these are more like best practices or a checklist of things that need to be thought about. If you're going to develop a succession roadmap, then these would certainly be on there.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to read that.
Happy to share it. Um, so, do you see other countries, continents that you're going to be expanding into, and do you see a lot of growth still ahead of you for scaling this company?
Uh, yes. Well, to answer your first question, yes, there's definitely going to be other countries. We are always evaluating the next country. And so we've got a great template and format of how we enter countries, how we set up. So that's not no longer a challenge for us. It's really mapping that to what customers are demanding and what we need in our arsenal in terms of services. But I think the next wave for us as a company in terms of growth is definitely going to be AI. And so I've been personally heavily invested this year, learning AI, doing it myself, learning the programming, learning everything about it. And 2026 is going to be a big year for us rolling out different types of products to complement the services we provide. And I'm very, very excited about that. I don't think companies really, everyone understands AI is big, but they don't really understand, I don't think, the power of it. And as I've been really spending day and night on it, um, my eyes are wide open in terms of, when I thought about the first internet wave in the late 90s, 1990s, this is probably way bigger than that. And I'm super excited about the next 10 years minimum.
It's pretty incredible. And I just had a very interesting conversation last week with someone. I'm sure he's not the only one in this business of creating a private wrapper around AI so that you can go out and get the data and the information and the research, but then what you are putting out there stays within your own organization. I think it's going to be really important because I think people are increasingly getting suspect of, wow, these AIs seem to know a lot more about me than I almost want them to know.
Right.
It's good for me when I'm looking for feedback. If I'm looking for a coach and I don't want to spend money or I want someone to coach me in the moment, it's great feedback. But it is a little worrisome that it all goes out into the public. And I think that's something obviously you're probably going to be looking at. And if not, be happy to make an introduction there. So yeah, AI is going to be huge. And it's hard to say how huge it'll be, but it's game changing. So,
Game changing, definitely.
yeah, what advice would you give to other founders of companies who want to grow but are hesitant to embrace AI, or alternatively just loosen control over the reins of the business with their kids? So,
Uh,
that question.
yeah, my mantra has been to always look at how I am going to disrupt myself. My pseudo job title is Chief Disruption Officer, uh, even though I'm CEO. But my mindset is, if we're not disrupting ourselves, someone's going to disrupt you, and that's basically how I would look at it as a founder. Always think about what's next, and explore it, learn about it, even do some testing. I would not back away from, I'm in the people business, right? And I should be the first one to say, wow, I'm scared of AI or it's going to disrupt my business, but I'm embracing it 1,000% because I'm actually going to see, I think companies are going to realize they're actually going to hire more people. The more they adopt AI, to be honest, because you can do a lot more, but you still need people to power it. And, but that's going to make you incredibly competitive. So that's what I would say from that perspective. With respect to the kids, whether they are involved in your business or not, I just got lucky. It doesn't happen like that for many founders, and so I really believe that my children have the choice. Like, if they didn't want to be involved, that's fine too. But thankfully, they made the other decision.
Yeah. Are there things you're doing to prepare the business to run without you in your absence? Because you stole the words out of my mouth. I've been telling my clients this since I first started coaching: is figure out how to make yourself dispensable.
Yeah.
Figure out how to train your replacement. And of course, some people who are small business minded or small minded will think, I don't want someone to take my place. This is my job. Don't take that job. And you see this very often with leaders, I'm sure, in your own company, where they're afraid to delegate or let go because they're afraid, well, I won't be important anymore, and maybe they won't need me, and maybe there's nowhere for me to go up here. So it's best for me to control this. But so
I
preparing the company to run without you, replacing yourself in technical roles or areas.
Yeah, I did that a long time ago, actually. I don't necessarily want to be involved in every area. There's people that are much better at doing those things than me. And I know my superpower, which is vision, getting involved in new concepts, still overseeing the company from a perspective of governance and making sure I understand everything that's happening. So I can give what I call leaders intent, which is, hey, this is how I would think about this issue or direction, but not telling people what to do, but they understand, if I were to make that decision, how I would make it or what I would intend to do. So I make sure that's very clear to everybody. But I'm in a position, and I have been for a while, where I'm really focused on the next thing of where we're evolving to, which is what I'm doing right now. And the company is definitely in a position where if I wanted to walk away for a year, I could. But again, I go back to the Apple and Steve Jobs scenario. He didn't run the company. I mean, there were other people, right, like Tim Cook and others, but he was involved in his superpower, which was creating new things for the company. And that's what really I want to do for my company.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. So what's one thing you wish you knew before scaling globally?
Well, I think how hard it is. It's been 25 years, and fortunately, I got into it where there was a big wave for it, and people business is tough, HR is tough, all of that is tough, but I don't regret it. I think there's probably other things I could have done better, but I was moving so fast. So as examples are having the right management people in place. I made decisions very quickly. Sometimes I would sort of go move fast and break it, and then keep going, fix it, blah blah blah. It's sort of like the software way of doing it. but I did it with the people business. uh,
Okay.
and yeah, so I think that made things, tough at times. But I think that would be the main thing. Just get the right people right in the right seat. Don't sacrifice that. And I think I, on occasion, did that, and just to move fast. And that's the lesson I would probably convey to, say, my kids, for example.
That's great. Is there a book, a mentor, or a quote along those lines that influenced your thinking about either moving fast or they influence your leadership style that you'd recommend?
There were two, actually. I think two that I actually talk about are Blue Ocean Strategy.
Hmm.
So that's one. And then the other one's Good to Great. Even though the examples of the companies are outdated, that the typical, the framework and the mindset there, those two, amongst many other books, those two stood out for me and impacted me greatly.
That's fantastic. What's your favorite part about working with your family?
That I, that's a interesting one, that we never really talk about work. Like, we're a very close knit family. If I were to call them for a special event, they're always there. I talk to them every day, my kids, and very rarely do we talk about work, which is great. But when I'm excited about something, I tell them, and they're there with a keen ear. They want to understand, like, what I'm thinking about, and that's what I love. Like, they're there to hear and be excited. But our day-to-day life is very balanced in terms of focusing on, family.
Sound like you're a wonderful boss, Pranav, and a wonderful father. And everyone should be so lucky as to have a boss or a father like you. So let's talk about maybe a quick thought on how you personally define success, and what does it look like maybe now versus 10 years from now, or 10 years ago, or like, how has it
Yeah.
changed?
Well, that has changed over time. When I started the company, I just wanted to pay the bills. Like, I wanted to pay the mortgage, the two car payments, make sure I could do this. And my wife at the time wasn't working. So there's no safety net. I had to make it happen. Over time, I was really focused on really clients versus a certain amount of revenue or anything like that. Because the company at the time, and I have no outside investors, never had partners, no investors. We could only digest so much at any given time based on our capabilities. So we were limited to a certain degree by that, because I didn't ever want to take outside money. Now, now we're at the point where I want the company to be a true global company, and we're going to, like, in the everyday mindset of business leaders and entrepreneurs and executives. And I've got a vision for that, on how we're going to accomplish that. Like, not just being a remote staffing company, but really being part of the DNA of every company. And we're going to be coming out with some things in January in private beta that I believe are going to be very big game changers in terms of everyday business. And I'm very excited about that. So that's my next vision for success, is really to be like Amazon, which is an incredible company. I mean, every consumer uses it. For business, I'm hoping that what we're going to come out with and what we're going to be doing next has that same impact with business.
Pranav, this has been a fascinating look into your global business with your family now at your side working with you. It's very heart-centered and very head-centered, and very selfless, which is part of that value of be of service and be humble to others. So I've enjoyed spending this time with you. For those out there who would want to learn more about Office Beacon or connect with you, where should they go? Do you want to share some social website links or?
Absolutely. Connect with me on LinkedIn. We're very active on LinkedIn. Connect with the company if you're interested in what we do. I would say the best email is sales@officebeacon.com. My sales team will direct anything to me if you reference, the podcast today. And those are the best ways, I think, to connect. Or if you're in the LA area and want to participate in one of our networking events, just come to our website and you'll see VIP events at the top, and you'll meet us in person. And I'm often at many of these events.
Well, great. I'll be sure to show up when I'm in LA in the winter. I'll look forward to it.
Sorry.
So, folks, if you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with another family business leader or founder who's looking to scale with purpose. And I want to thank you again, Pranav, and thanks to our listeners for tuning in to the Disruptive Successor Show. This podcast is sponsored by myself, Jonathan Goldhill, and my company, the Goldhill Group, where we provide coaching for growing companies. I'm Jonathan Goldhill, and my purpose is simple: to guide entrepreneurial leaders in family businesses towards more freedom and fulfillment. I want entrepreneurs to get clarity around the changes that will make them and their businesses more successful so they can experience the same freedom I've enjoyed in my life. Our proven practices challenge business owners to think differently about their business and how they're running it, and quite literally become game changers in our clients' companies. Learn more at thegoldhillgroup.com website, where you can schedule your free strategy session. Thank you for joining us on the Disruptive Successor Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, review, and share with a friend who would benefit from the message. If you're interested in picking up a copy of my book, Disruptive Successor, go to disruptivesuccessor.com.